Alright, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire. In all truthfulness and in all sincerity. Got this article right here by the Daily Huddle. The U.S. to suffer devastating hyperinflation, war, starvation as BRICS dumps dollar. Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki is issuing a dire warning to Americans, saying that the country is likely to witness one crisis after another as BRICS nations send their dollars back to the U.S. In a new video on the Rich Dad channel, Kiyosaki tells his 3.1 million subscribers that the U.S. is now at risk of suffering hyperinflation, war, and starvation as other major economic powers come together to defy the supremacy of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. According to Kiyosaki, BRICS, which is made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, as well as there's other nations that are joining them, poses a major threat to the stability of American society, as the alliance of nations could trigger hyperinflation by selling their massive dollar reserves back to the United States. BRICS is reportedly in the stage of developing a precious metal-pegged currency that does not utilize U.S. dollars. Chiffin's dilemma meant that the U.S. had to supply dollars to every central bank to the world, so we had to print quadrillions of dollars. And what happens is when the playground bully, the U.S. and the BRIC nations gang up against the bully, they say take your dollars back, and that's exactly what's going on. And when these dollars come roaring back into America, and the brother went over this too. The brother Amon Gabar touched on this too. And when those dollars come rolling back, the elder brother, Amon Gabar touched on this article as well. But I'm including this as part of that. It's got to be 3 parts now. Video series about how the U.S. economy is gonna go down, how that would lead to Jacob's trouble, and also the MOT to the B. And when those dollars come back roaring back into America, we have a thing called hyperinflation. And every time there's hyperinflation, guess what happens? Dictators arise. So Ordo ab Kale, right? Ordo ab Kale, right? The Triflin dilemma suggests that, out of all this chaos and the dollar going, the Triflin dilemma suggests that the issuer of the global reserve currency faces a challenge of running an oversupply of its own currency as the country provides liquidity to the rest of the world. Kiyosaki says that hyperinflation is just the tip of the iceberg should BRICS nations completely abandon the U.S. dollar. He also predicts military conflict will contribute to a new American struggle to access the most basic needs. Yeah, because last time countries abandoned the U.S. dollar, the U.S. went to war with them. So this will eventually lead to that. But you're gonna have something called the RFID chip, and you're gonna have CBDC, and you're gonna have the RFID chip first before the U.S. gets in, before World War III gets hot like that, you know, before it goes nuclear. You're gonna have that. Dollars can come back in trillions. Hyperinflation war breaks out. Starvation increases. The best-selling author also warns that countries are beginning to realize that the U.S. dollar can't be trusted. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't trust your money, that's the problem. And the world is waking up that they don't trust the money. That worst of all, Triffin's dilemma is going to kick in, and millions of dollars will come washing back on our shore, and you're going to see hyperinflation like never seen before. So you got this going down. You got the debt ceiling situation going down, and you got the First Republic situation going down. All these situations, the bank failures, the what you want to call it, the bank failures, what's happening with that, because we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. What's happening with that is they're consolidating the banks, because eventually if First Republic fails, another bank, a bigger bank, is going to buy them up, a bank that is down with the CBDC agenda, like all the way. But yeah, you know, you got that going on, and you got this hyperinflation shit that could happen that would happen from the BRICS nations dumping the dollar and the debt ceiling not being raised. That would just accelerate shit. That would just make it even, the hyperinflation, even worse. And all happening around the time that they're about to roll out Fed now. Which brings me to another point. Not only will Jacob's trouble come out of this, but also Revelation 13:16, and he causes both small and great, and rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand on their foreheads. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Verse 18, so no man might buy or sell, keep that in mind. Then, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. Chai Sai stigma. When we look into that stigma, look into stigma, you look into karagma, karax, karagma, karax. We look into that. And basically, you can figure out from that it's talking about the RFID chip. You know, they're gonna stick it in you. Stick comes from the same root word is stigma. You know, they gonna stick it in you. And Carax was in the Palisade estate. Carax marked Carax Palisade estate. Like he saw stake in his claim to you. Using that chip. And that chip, and I ain't talking about a potato chip. Talking about that grain of rice. But yeah, it's going to lead to that new currency being established. The new digital currency being established, and they're going to end up forcing you to take that. They're going to end up forcing you to take that. Well, trying to force you to take that chip. Eventually, that's going to be the new way of accessing this currency. It's going to be through an RFID chip. As you already see that going on with Walletmore, one chip, you know, those forms of payments that are being pushed. So with that, so first you're gonna have the Jacob's trouble, the chaos. Zephaniah 1:12, and it shall come to pass now that at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the man that is settled on their lease, that say in their heart, Yahweh will not do good, neither will he do evil. Yeah, you 2/3 of you so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans, you Hebrew Israelites. Verse 13, therefore their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build, as well as speckled birds, you know, that are here in the States. Two-thirds of y'all as well. Verse 13, therefore their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. Verse 14, the great day of Yahweh is near, it is near, and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of Yahweh. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly. It's going to get that bad. Verse 15, all that happens, you know, out of this, you know, this hyperinflation. You're going to have, because you're going to have civil unrest, you're going to have race wars, you're going to have civil war break out. The hyperinflation get that bad. And it will. You're going to have two events two major events causing this hyperinflation. And you already have racial tension, you already have, and they're going to blame both sides with the debt ceiling. So there you go. Let me get that. Second Ezra chapter 15, starting in verse 11. No, starting at verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Verse 15, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. Verse 18, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Yeah, verse 15, that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Verse 16, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. Verse 17, and I will bring distress upon men, and they shall walk like blind men because they have sinned against Yahweh. And the blood shall be poured, but as out as dust, their flesh as the dung. Verse 18, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of Yahweh's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Eventually, after the MOTB, you're gonna have the nukes drop after it's mandated. And only way you're gonna be safe is if you are a member of the elect. If you are of the elect, you're gonna be safe. Psalms 91 and 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High Yahweh shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Verse 2, I will say of Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, and my power, in him will I trust. Verse 13. Hold on. Verse 3 actually. Verse 3, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noise of pestilence. Verse 4, he shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Verse 5, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Verse 6, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Verse 7, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Because you got pestilences that's coming out, and they could release that during this time of hyperinflation, just adding to the order of abkeo, and then the make you take the juice for it, which will a certification for it, which will be in the chip. That's how they could do it. That's how they could do it too. Just they said it was going to be a year of a poly crisis. Poly crisis. That's what these devils at the WEF said. So, verse 7, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Verse 8, only with thine eyes shalt thou behold, and see the reward of the wicked. Verse 9, because thou hast made Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. Verse 10, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Verse 31, for he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Verse 12, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Verse 13, thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shall thou trample under feet. Because, verse 14, he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. Verse 15, he shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. Verse 16, with long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. So why? Because he hath known my name, showing you the names of key, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Come on. I was going to get that precept. What is his son's name? It's in here. Yeah, but there's a precept saying that what is his name, what is his son's name, thou canst tell. Showing you the names matter. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. And his name and his son's name. In Proverbs 1 and 20, wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. Verse 21, she crieth in the chief place of concourse. This is what we've been doing. That's for you 2/3, man. And you won't repent. This is for y'all. She cried in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttered her words, saying, verse 22, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, and the scorners delight in the scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Verse 23, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Verse 24, because I have called and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But verse 25, but ye have sat and not in all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. Verse 26, I also will laugh at your calamities. I will mock when your fear cometh. Verse 27, when your fear cometh as desolation, and your distress cometh as a whirlwind. When your destruction cometh as a whirlwind. When distress and anguish cometh upon you. Verse 28, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Verse 29, for that they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of Yahweh. Verse 30, they would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Verse 31, therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. You're going to eat your words. You know what I'm saying? You're going to eat your words. Well, think of it in that way. Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. Verse 31. Verse 32. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Verse 33. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. And who's going to hearken? The elect. So with that, hey, I'm gonna wrap it up. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great Muslim who rule well. Salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. And Shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Shalom, stay strong. Yashra forever. Abba Babal. Death to Babylon. Abad la Adawamium. Death to the Edomites. Abad la Goyim. Death to the other nations. Abad la 2/3. Abad la Ayam Yamnawa. Death to death to our enemies, which the rest of our enemies would be two-thirds of you so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans and speckled birds here in the States, as well as you rebels that's scattered among the Israelite foreigners scattered to the four corners of the earth, and among the northern kingdom, those in the northern kingdom countries, those that live outside the states. You so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans that live outside the states, y'all as well. Our enemies. Shalom, stay strong. Abba well, and Yashrala forever. Shalom. How do I end this?